Hello, hello, I'm Gazimov from MMORPG.com, and I'm here to bring you an update on some of the new content WildStar has planned. So, we've seen that Blighthaven got released pretty much a month after WildStar launched, and that brought a load of new story with it. This new zone, which you're seeing here, called the Defile, is pretty much a culmination of that story. It wraps up all of the loose ends that we've been discovering as players and brings them to a point with the whole Drusera story, the whole entity background, and all those kind of bits and pieces as well. Now, this particular area that you're seeing now is called the Sonic Plaza, and it's where the Elden themselves have been performing experiments on Exonite, which is this golden rock you can see scattered around. It's used to repel the strain, and it has all kinds of other properties that the Elden were trying to discover. We don't know what's been left behind, and so both Exile and Dominion scientists have been surging into the area to find any kind of scrap of research that's available. And apart from a whole bunch of solo missions, there's also path missions as well. For example, there's one explorer mission which has you climbing the resonance tower, which is that grey thing that you can just see in the background here. Once you get to the top, obviously you get a panorama as well. So that's the Exonite area. It looks relatively safe and unscathed from the strain, but there's a murkier side to the Defile as well. This is the Black Focus. It's a strain-infested 5-player questing area. Now, focuses are things that we've seen dotted around Nexus, and they're usually tied to a primal force or a primal energy. This one was apparently discarded and unused until it was discovered by a strange creature called Corral the Defiler, who decided to turn it towards black purposes of destruction and mayhem and so on and so forth. To do that, he took 6 terraformers, each providing a primal elements like earth, air, fire, water, logic and life, which you can see here, and pointed them all at the Black Focus in order to charge it with energies, hoping to turn it into some kind of destructive super weapon. But taking down this outside boss is going to be worth it. It's not only going to include rewards and so on, but there's also going to be a housing item. That Black Focus collapses in on itself once it's destroyed, becoming a housing trophy, which you can then take off back to your housing plot to show off your skills. The Defile also includes a 20-player public event area, which takes place in the region of Final Lights, and this is where the story starts to wrap up. Drusera has had the entity trapped in a massive Exonite tower called the Light Spire for the last 1,000 years, and she's also surrounded it with a field of Exonite as well to make it almost impossible for the strain to reach it. However, the strain have come up with a plan. The Dread Watcher, I'd guess you call him a strain lieutenant or something, has been building a bridge over that field of Exonite to the Light Spire in order to free his master. And he's been building that out of strain goop and bodies and so on and so forth. And it's the job of the players to stop him. The fight itself takes place over 5 different kind of mini events, including bombing runs, there's mini bosses to defeat, and it all finishes with a 20-player showdown against the Dreadwatcher himself. And once that's complete, Drusera then invites you to the Light Spire and reveals everything. What the Exonite is, what the history of the strain is all about, how she relates to the entity, everything. A lot of people are going to say, well, that's the end of the story, but that's not true. That's just the end of the prologue. And although they've been tight-lipped about it so far, there's this whole world story that Carbine is itching to release once this prologue is wrapped up. And who knows where it's going to take us. We've seen a lot of the scene setting with the Elden and Drusera and the entity and the strain. But what's beyond that? What's the next step for the WildStar universe? And it wasn't just the Defile that I got to take a look at while I was there. We also got a glimpse of this new arena map. Now, this is going to be designed for 2v2, 3v3 and 5v5 matches. It's got a working title of the Icebox. It's huge. It's much bigger than the existing Slaughterdome Arena map. By comparison, this one feels much more open, much freer, much more flexible. But it's also, as you can see, on 2 different levels, and there are actually holes in the arena floor that you can jump down. Now you might use those holes to try and avoid people who are pursuing after you, you know, drop down and then hit stealth and evade. Or you might look at trying to lay traps, so you lead someone on, jump down a hole, they follow you and your teammates are there lying in wait to go gank someone. There's a lot of flexibility around how you use those, and personally I'm looking forward to seeing how they actually play out. Also on the horizon are the Proto Games. This is a 5-player instance with a really quirky twist to it. It's been set up so that there are a number of different rooms, each with their own challenges or events or puzzles that you have to overcome inside them. Both the rooms that you face and the order in which you face them is random. So the idea is that we'll get a lot more replayability out of this as well. Because of that, they've also assigned medal awards to each room. So rather than having a reward for clearing through the instance and getting 1 medal for that, it'll be on a per room basis, which I think is a fairly neat way of doing it. And as you can see just from this, there's about 5 or 6 different rooms that we can see here, and there's this Jabbit infested place. Looks a bit Watership Downy to me, but there's also things like looks like a cubic jumping puzzle. There's even what seems to be a fight that's held on the back of a starship, so it looks like it's going to be quite an impressive experience. And then finally there's WildStar's first holiday event, and this is Shades Eve. It's going to be arriving sometime this fall. We don't have any exact dates yet. I did try and get them out of Carbine, but they weren't sharing. Now, Shades Eve is all about when the Cassians first landed on planet Cassus and the ordeals they had to go through. There was this horrible plague that nearly wiped them all out, and it was only through a stroke of luck that they actually managed to find a cure. So this is 2,000-year-old Cassian history and folklore that's coming to the fore here. As for the Shades Eve event itself, we'll have a number of things to look forward to. We'll have various different holiday missions. As you can see, the capitals have been completely decked out in Shades Eve theme. And as we complete those holiday missions, they'll actually contribute to a realm-wide mission to build a giant effigy in each of those capitals. There'll also be a number of other activities to take part in during the Shades Eve Festival, and I'm looking forward to hearing more as we get closer to the event. So that's all I have to show you for now, but rest assured we'll be keeping a close eye on all WildStar developments in the future, so make sure you check back regularly on MMORPG.com. I have been Gazimov, and I'll see you in game.